Hey y'all, welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and I'm here to talk to y'all about some of my favorite books. I am participating in the Fav of Faves Tag. This is a tag brought to me by Becky from @Bex Reads. If you know Becky, she is the queen of collabs, so I'm pretty sure she's got a ton of people doing this tag. And for me, I figured what easier way to talk to you all about some of the books that I don't necessarily get to talk about all the time. And if I do, you know it's because I love them. So she's created 10 questions. I'm going to start with the first one, which is tell me about your favorite book that you've read this year. Now, the book that I'm going to talk to you all about is not necessarily my favorite of the year. I actually have that slated for a different question, but that doesn't diminish my love for this book because it is truly one of my favorites that I've read this year. And that's going to be If You Stayed by Brittany Cherry. If you read Brittany Cherry before, you know that she is an emotional writer. One of those writers that is going to tug at your heartstrings, and this one is no exception. If You Stayed is a childhood friends to lovers, to strangers, and back to friends. It sounds very convoluted, but this is really truly a story about two children that fell in love, that had this great whirlwind of a romance. Tragedy happened, and one of our characters, specifically our MMC, lost all of his memories. And they got separated because of this traumatic experience, in which they now are in a situation where she is married, but he comes to be the architect of her home, and she knows that her feelings never left. He just doesn't remember who she is. Y'all, when I tell you I devoured this book, I listened to the audiobook, I read it with my eyes as well in sync, and it hit so well. Just like any other Brittany C. Cherry book, this one touched a special place in my heart, and for that reason, is definitely one of my favorites. Now, the next question is, tell me your favorite from 5 years ago. So it is 2026. If I had to go back into the recess of my mind of what book I loved in 2021, that's undoubtedly going to Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I can't stop talking about S.A. Cosby and how much I adore his writing, the way he crafts a story, the way he takes you on this journey, the way he gets you very emotionally invested into the characters and to the fact that you want them to succeed, even though the stakes are high and you're living on adrenaline. But this was the first book that I had ever read by him, and this is the one that I won't stop talking about. Out of his entire catalog, this is the one that I will go to war for. These two characters, Ike and Buddy Lee, have stood with me for the test of time, and that's saying something that I remember their names 5 years later because my memory is absolutely terrible. But the way in which this story just impacted me, it let me know that I'm really into crime thrillers. Like, it may not be my go-to genre, but if S.A. Cosby writes it, I'm damn sure gonna read it. The next question is, tell me your favorite book that is under 300 pages. And I love a good short book that can grip me in, but leave a lasting impression. Even though it's under 300 pages, it's still one of the ones that stick with you. For that reason, I'm gonna be talking about Give Me a Reason by Stephanie Nicole Norris. This is, I believe, the third in the Love of a Valentine series, and y'all, I pray for a love like this. The way that Lance loved our FMC, like, he truly said, I will sacrifice any and everything. There is nothing that is going to stand in the way. I do not care what I have to do to prove to you, you are the woman for me. Like, even you could not break what I have for you. Even though you're pushing me away and you're saying you want the best for me, you are literally the best for me, and I need you to be able to see that. I don't care if my family says something. I don't care if I lose everything I own. I just need you to be okay in this world. And for that very reason, and the fact that she was able to get it done in literally less than 200 pages. This is 201 pages. Y'all, Stephanie Nicole Norris could literally double this and I'd still be there reading, because the way that Lance loved this woman, down bad severely. So best book that I could tell you all under 300 pages for sure. The next question is going to be, what is your favorite standalone story? The book that you know, even if you got a sequel, even if there was a whisper of a sequel, you would say, I don't necessarily need it because I love this one enough. And for that very reason, I'm going to tell you it is Bookmarked by Bella J. Now, hear me out. I know everybody, their mama, sister, cousin, Tracy is going to tell you, no, she's not finished with this story. She needs to put out another one. But Bella J has told us time and time again, we're never going to see it. You got to make it enough. And the reason I love this is because it's so unconventional. I had never read a story like this. This is a love story and not a romance. Most people would say, but isn't that the same? No. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a happily ever after or even a happy for now. But the way in which Bella just told a story and unwind their love story all the way back down to the beginning and literally kept me captivated to where I was like, my mind is telling me I wrote the end. You don't even have to tell me how it ends because I'm seeing it play out in my mind. This is one of those situations in which she wrote something that would be so upsetting to most, but fills me up with joy because I see the love between these two characters and I know in the recess of my mind, they're back together, that things are working out just fine and all is well. This literally is my favorite standalone book and I will recommend it and argue with somebody as to why this should really go in the greatest hits of all times because what she did with this book is a testament to her writing. Loves it real bad. The next question is, of course, if we just talked about standalone, let's talk about some series. So let's talk about your favorite book series that has at least 4 or more books that you've completed. Now, I love that we talked about that you've completed because I am a serial series starter. I will pick up no less than 37 series and never finish one. But if there's going to be one book or one series, one author that I'm going to finish everything in the catalog, it's going to be Miss J.L. Seekers. Now, this is the New Haven series. There are, I believe, 7 books. There is a set that's a trilogy, right? But it's all following one character. But in total, I want to say that there's either 6 or 7 books. Now, quiet as it's kept, I don't know if she's done writing in this series. She's moved on. She's had some other obligations, but this is now traditionally published. So I think we're getting another 1 or 2 books, but they're not out yet. So technically, I've completed the series for what she's done. I've completed it. Now, when the next 2 books come out, baby, I'm going to be sat and ready and waiting. And I'm going to give her all of her space and her time. But when we talk about a series that I will tell you, there is nothing less than a 4.5 star. I really don't even want to say a 4. I think every single book at least got a 4.5, 5 star. But this one is my favorite. And it's the first book of the series. This is Restore Me. And I could talk about this ad nauseum. I think I have every single edition that has ever been printed of this book. And I'm happy if she came out with another one, I'd buy it too because I love it that much. Now, I want to keep this in mind. This is very, very spicy. All of her books isn't like this, but that is the beauty of J.L. Seeker. She said, I got something for the Spice Girls. I got something for the emotional girls. I got something for the girls that want the lick back. I got something for everybody in this one series. And for that very reason, I love it so much that I will recommend it and tell you all to read it. So when we talk about a series that I've completed, I may not complete a lot, but I'm going to complete this one. Loves it real bad. One of my favorites. Next question, which is one of my favorite questions that Becky has put on this list because I have an entire video dedicated to this very concept. Let's talk about a book that I love, that is one of my favorite books that has a trope that I hate. And in that video, I did talk about this book in particular because I hate a virgin heroine. Now, let's not get that misconstrued. I love a virgin hero, right? I love when we can break in a brother. I love that. But when we talk about our FMCs and their purity and how the men, really gets to take their virginity, and the women become so outlandish over this man, and he becomes the sun, the moon, the earth, God in human form to her, because he has taken her virginity, and now she's just down bad that she can't even think. I absolutely loathe that. I hate when I have to read a virgin FMC. It burns me up. And most of the time, I don't know it going in. There are some people, Kenya Gore Bell, that loves to write that trope, and yet I'm going to read it every time knowing it's coming. But there was no better book that she did it in than Easy Like Sunday. Y'all, this is a motorcycle romance in which, yes, this is literally a good girl, bad boy. Like, she walks into the club wearing all white, never been touched, doesn't know how she got there other than the fact that her tire is flat and she is in the middle of nowhere. The only place that she can go to is a bar with bikers. Yes, you heard me, motorcycle romance, bad boy, legit. She walks in there and the man claims her and like, hey, you're mine. And actually, I'm going to need that V card up off you before the team decides to run through you. And I'm trying to do you a favor. Literally, if I saw this by anybody else, I'd be like, yuck. Like, I don't want it. But the fact that Kenya Gore wrote it exquisitely to my taste just lets me know, yeah, I'm a stand beside Kenya. She can be able to do whatever she wants to. And that includes writing a trope that I hate, which again is the virgin heroine. It detests me, but neither here nor there. I like it in this book. Now, the next question is, tell me, what's your favorite book that does not have an appealing cover? Like, we tend to say we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but truthfully, we do. And we like pretty and shiny things. We like the inside to be fantastic, but the outside, we want it to match and it to look just as well. Like, we keep trophies on our shelves for a reason. Yet and still, I listened to the people when they told me that I needed to read American Marriage. And by golly, is it one of my favorite books. Like, I read this year, and I have been chasing this feeling for a very long time, even so much that I doubled back into her catalog. And I usually don't repeat a lot of authors in the same year because there's a ton of authors I need to read. But Miss Tayari Jones, I said, you wrote this so well that I got to go back into your catalog and make sure I'm not missing out on a favorite author, because this book, exquisite. I don't even give 6 stars, and if I had to, this would be one of them. But this cover, it's not doing it for me. I get how people that usually read general fiction would be like, ooh, a tree. It has to be with family branches, and this has to be a family saga. It's not. There are some family aspects in here, but that's not the root of the story. It don't have nothing to do with that. This book doesn't tell me anything about what the story contains. And the story written so well, you couldn't tell if this was fact or if this was fiction. This book is that doggone good, but if you were judging a book by its cover, you'd walk right on past it, and we would not be the wiser. Question number 8. This one is going to shake the table, and I understand, because the question literally is, tell me what's your favorite book that's less than or at 3.5 stars. And I realized as I was going through my favorites, I've clearly got exquisite taste, because I could not find one that was lower than 3.5. Now, the one that I am going to talk about does have 3.5 stars. Exactly. Actually, it's 3.56. And I understand why y'all not feeling this book. However, nostalgia. However, this is a comfort read for me. One that I literally read almost every year. There was a point where I read this every year. Now, I took a little break off for a couple of years. I have since gone back to reading this every year because it just means that much to me. Y'all don't like it. Fair. What y'all can't say is that the lady didn't put us on game. That's going to be Jasmine Guillory's The Wedding Date. I'm not going to defend myself. Just know this was the book that got me back into reading as an adult, specifically reading romance. You could pry this from my cold dead hands because I love it that much. Like, Jasmine would have to do something so egregious for me to turn my back on this, and she would have to tell me, yeah, this man, this white man that's in this book, he actually was planning on unaliving her this entire time, and I just forgot to put that part in the book. And I'm still gonna be like, but it wasn't in the book, so it don't count, right? No, I might have to second consider myself, because Jasmine, why would you write something like that? And I'm putting things into the universe that literally the lady has never said, so don't jump down her throat. But I already know y'all not feeling this book. I, however, totally am. That's all I'm going to say. I only got 2 more questions, and these 2 books, rent free. Question number 9 is, what is the favorite book that you have that starts with your name? Y'all, my name is Lisa, and I'm here to tell you, Loving the Legend is one of my favorite books that I have read this year. And I am so grateful that I was able to get this copy. And I'm so grateful that this copy is also signed. Y'all just don't understand how much I love this book. It is a sports romance, emotionally gripping. It has so much grief. It has so much trauma and development. And I know that sounds like, Lisa, how could that be your favorite? I like to be in pain. I enjoy getting so emotionally invested in my characters that I would be sick if they decided they didn't want to be together. If something happened that pulled them apart, and which there very much well could have been a reason for these 2 not to be together, because they needed to work through some things, and therapy was truly needed, and therapy was received. However, these 2, endgame. Love them real bad. This exquisite writing, emotional storytelling, high stakes, deliciousness. This question is probably the question that everyone gets if you're a reader. Tell me what your favorite book of all time is. And if you have been watching my channel for any minute of time, you would have heard me talk about this. And this book still has not been unseated at this point. The author, I've seen her many of times, and I've done my best not to tell her how much I love this book, how I own it literally in every version that there is, and still would buy more. That is Real by Kennedy Ryan. I have a video where I read this book, and I read some other Kennedy Ryans, and I am very surprised that I was not crying on camera, because this book, I cried literally 4 times. I was so distraught reading this book that I felt exposed. And I felt like you could have blew me over with a gust of wind, because like, I love Neva and Cannon an unhealthy amount. Like, these 2, if they left out of the page and stood in this very room, I'd probably faint. And I don't get starstruck by anybody, but these 2 are Hollywood royalty in this book, and in this home, their star. I love this book. I will tell anyone, read it. Doesn't matter if you like romance or not. Doesn't matter if you like historical fiction or not. doesn't matter if you don't like dual timelines. What I want you to understand, this is exquisite writing, exquisite storytelling, very good family drama. This is art. This is my favorite book of all time. That being said, I'm going to tell you, because I always tell you to leave something for this one. I always tell you to leave something for this one. I don't think that I have ever told you to leave something for this. So I want you to leave me a tree emoji for An American Marriage. This, again, is a banger that I need more people to read and talk about on this platform. If you don't want to do that, tell me what your favorite book of all time is, and or your favorite book that you've read this year. I want to thank Becky for creating this tag and also asking me if I want to participate. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.